Hola, I'm FiBeRz and welcome to Revive Wins. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the new UR character called Raphan. And in like the previous video about Isabel, we're gonna do a comparison between Raphan and the other best destroyers currently in the game. Jhove, Parfait, Kapla, and Ela. But first, let's take a look at the skill set of Raphan. The skill 1, Spear of Oath, is physical attack damage, range all enemies. The effect deals physical damage equal to 400% of attack to all enemies. When using this skill in the Wolf Spirit state, Raphan has a 50% chance to inflict Rip Off on the targets. Rip Off, the target takes 20% more damage dealt by a Spear of Oath for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So basically we can be able to get a 60% more damage dealt by Spear of Oath. We reach this Wolf Spirit state using as one time the skill 2 of Raphan. The skill 2 of Raphan, Hamel's Bloodline, costs 4 chaos energy, and the first time that you use it, awakens the forbidden bloodline and enters the wolf spirit state, increases attack by 30% and heals self for 15% of damage dealt. The second time that you're gonna use it now, when using this skill in the wolf spirit state, Raphan deals physical damage equal to 500% of attack to all enemies and generates a shield for 10 seconds that absorbs damage equal to 300% of attack. So basically pretty similar like all the other destroyers. This skill 2, the first time that we use it is just to enter in a different state that is gonna give a power up to Raphan, and in this case is also powering up the skill 1 as we read before. And after we use this ability for one time and we already enter in the wolf spirit state, this ability is gonna do that physical damage equal to 500% of attack to all enemies and provide us to that shield. That shield is pretty similar to one of the abilities of Kapla, so that's pretty good. To finish with Raphan, let's take a look at the passive. The passive, Wolf Spirit's Protection. When Raphan takes lethal damage, she is granted with immunity to all damages and heals self for 100% of max health for 5 seconds, can be triggered once per combat. Before doing the comparison with Raphan and the other destroyers of the game, let's take a look at the unique equipment of Raphan. At level 40, giving these stats, and when dealing damage, ignores the target's physical defense equal to 28% of self's attack. This unique equipment is a must for Raphan to try to compete with the other destroyers on the game right now. The thing is that normally the other destroyers have a way to ignore physical defense by their own, either on their skill set or in their passive. The thing is that Raphan has this effect on the unique equipment. So basically, if you wanna use Raphan, you will have to pull for this unique equipment. And to finish the video, we're gonna finally do the comparison with Raphan and the other destroyers on the game. So basically, what I took is the stats of every destroyer with Ascension 4 and level 19 without upgrading the skills, just the base stats. As we can see in a first look, Raphan has the highest attack of all of the destroyers, a bit higher than Jhove actually, but has less physical defense, less magical defense, and less HP than the others. You are destroyers right now in the game. Basically, to do the comparison, I just took the stat of attack of every destroyer with Ascension 4 and level 90 and do the formulas to get the total damage that they are able to do with the skill 1, depending on the stacks. If the ability actually can have more than one stack, skill 1 with the stacks after using skill 2. That normally skill 2 in destroyers is a power up, and the skill 2 that just Kapla and Raphan are the only ones able to do damage with that skill. Also, I put the number of enemies because there are some destroyers that do damage to more than one enemy, so they are able to do actually damage to all the 3 enemies in case of PvP. And I just put the case of the UR equipment of Ela because this increment the damage dealt by Ela, and we are just talking here about total damage of abilities. We're gonna start with just one enemy, so basically from here we're gonna get the best destroyer to defeat bosses, because normally bosses are just one enemy. So skill 1 without using a skill 2, we can see that Kapla has the higher damage. In skill 1 plus stacks with the use of skill 2, Kapla is still the best one dealing damage to just one enemy. And as we can see in the skill 2, she will be better doing damage the first time than anyone, but the second time that Raphan used the skill 2, she can do actually more damage than Kapla. And if we activate the unique equipment of Ela, we still see that Kapla does more damage if we are just fighting versus one enemy. So basically, when we are just fighting one enemy, we can see that Kapla is the one that deals more damage out of all of them. As we can see, when we are fighting two enemies, we can see that the destroyers that are able to do damage to all enemies improve a lot on their total damage in a skill 1 without a skill 2 and a skill 1 with a skill 2. In a skill 1 without a skill 2, we can see that Kapla is still the best damage character out of all of them. On the other hand, in a skill 1 with a skill 2, the things change a lot. We can see already that Perfect, for example, can do more damage than Kapla with one stack and a bit more with two stacks. Also, Ela, that doesn't have any stacks on a skill 1, is already able to improve that damage. She is still a bit lower than Perfect with two stacks. And Raphan, we can clearly see how her damage improves with every stack, that she can have actually 3 stacks. The problem is that to reach this damage, we need to win that 50-50 of her skill 1 to activate Rip Off. But we can see that if she is able to activate that Rip Off, she's completely better than the other ones. We can already see that Raphan without that Rip Off is already close to the damage that Ela always provides. It's true that if we have the unique equipment of Ela, we can see that this number is a bit different. So Raphan is not that secure saying that she will do better in PvP just with these numbers if we will fighting two enemies. On the other hand, in a skill 2, we can already see that the damage that Raphan is able to do with her ability after using the skill 1 time is a bit more than double than the damage that Kapla can do with the skill 2. And in the last case, when we're fighting 3 enemies, so this is the case of PvP, this is when we can see that Raphan is way better than all of the other destroyers in PvP. We can see that in a skill 1 without using a skill 2, Raphan is better than anyone else. Using a skill 1 after using a skill 2, we can see that Ela still beats her the first time that they use the skills. But if Raphan is able to gain that 50-50 and get Rip Off, the damage that she can do in total is crazy. And the damage that she can do with 2 stacks and 3 stacks, it's completely crazy. The problem again, that she needs to win that 50-50. So at the end, we could be having just the damage of Raphan in a stack 0, so it will be actually having less damage than Ela. And also if we activate the unique equipment of Ela, we can see that it will be way lower than the damage that Ela can provide versus 3 enemies. On the other hand, the skill 2 does a lot of damage, and this damage is always consistent, and it's actually a bit higher than the damage of Ela with the skill 1. So to finish this video, to answer that question or probably you are making to yourself after watching these numbers of total damage and watching how Raphan is able to do that crazy amount of damage versus 3 enemies, you're gonna be asking yourself, but then, should I really summon for Raphan? And sadly, the answer right now is that no, you don't really need to. Because right now, with other teams in PvP, you're already gonna be able to complete all your victories. So you don't really need a team with Raphan. And also, right now, the game modes of the game are based on defeating bosses that normally is just fighting one enemy. Sometimes two, but that second enemy has really low health, so doesn't really matter at all. So I don't think that you need this destroyer in any way in the game right now. So yeah, if you basically wanna pull for her, it could be just thinking that hopefully they put a game mode in the future that having a big total damage to more than one enemy is gonna help you a lot. Also, don't forget that to use Raphan properly, you will need the unique equipment to ignore that physical defense. And that's all for today's video. Thank you a lot for watching. Like and subscribe if you wanna see more content in the future, and see you in the next video. Ciao!